Hi, my name is Jason, and welcome to My Leader Source. We're going to be teaching you the deadlift. The deadlift is a great posterior chin exercise. It builds strength in the entire body, but mainly focusing in the hamstring, glutes, and the erector spinae, as well as some involvement with the traps and the grip. Today we're going to have Stephanie helping us out today, so we're going to bring her in. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you.
We're going to go over some key points for the deadlift. When we're doing the deadlift, we're going to talk about the foot position again. We're going to start with the feet under hips. She's going to walk into that bar. Good general rule is to try to cover up those shoelaces, but really you want that bar sitting somewhere between the arch of the foot and the ball of the foot. The closer to the shin, the better when you're in doubt. When she's in position, she's going to reach down. She's going to assume a nice knee open position, right? She wants to make sure she's not collapsing the knees. So we're looking for those hands to be outside the knees, just about outside shoulder width apart. The hips are going to start high. She's going to have that back nice and flat, arms fully extended. She's going to drive her weight through her heels through the ground, and she's going to stand nice and easy, driving through the legs first. She's going to pull the hip in at the top, making sure to extend that hip, right? Full glute contraction. Notice how she's standing nice and tall, not over-exaggerating the spinal extension. She's going to release the hip back, so she's pushing the hip back, pivoting around the center. Notice the bar is staying close to her body the entire time, and she lands back in that full bottom position again. Notice the good position, right? Feet are under the hips, knees are in position, lined up with the toes, going the same direction. Arms are straight. Back is nice and flat. She's going to drive through the heels, stand up. The bar remains close to the body, and full standing position with that contracted glute. Let's go ahead and show you the side version of that real quick. Stephanie's getting a workout today. All right, so we're going to go ahead. As you notice, that hip position really exposed in this angle. So you'll get to see this position. We start a little higher. Now she wants those hips just a little bit below the shoulder. She wants to make sure that bar is right close to that body. And you'll notice this straight line that we talked about with the barbell. It's going to come up. She's going to drive through the heel, making sure that back is nice and flat, and bringing those hips back under center. So you'll notice, remember, she's in that full standing position. She's going to release the hip back. She's pivoting, leaning over. Think of it as a curtsy or a bow. She's going to cross the knee, and then she can begin squatting somewhat. But notice how she didn't drive that knee forward, and she kept those hips back as she did squat. Give me one more just like that. She's going to drive the legs to the ground and then bring the hips in, standing in full complete position. She's going to reach the hips back, bending the knees as she goes down slightly, keeping the weight back in the heels, and ending in that good position right over the middle of her foot. Excellent job. Thank you, Stephanie. Some of the common faults when performing the deadlift are as follows. When Stephanie comes to reach in for this bar and she's getting into her starting position, one of the few things we want to see happen, and with some things we don't want to see happen, is her hands coming too close together, which what you'll notice is if she tries to get those knees in there in her nice upright position, right, she's going to try to flatten her back out for that deadlift position. So go ahead and flatten that back out. So even though she's in good position with her back, she's compromised at this knee position. So now she can't get the proper drive from the ground, and she's sending a lot of torque in those knees, especially because we can go heavy with this move, right? So what we want to do is we want to have her spread her hands, then make sure that her knees are lined up so that they're pointing the same direction as her toes are. If your toes point out naturally, that's okay. Just make sure the knees follow, and make sure to adjust your hands properly. All right? We're going to go ahead and move her to the side for the rest of the faults. Okay. Some other common faults you may see, when we get the side angle, you'll get a chance to really see where this bar should be located. Now when we talk about bar positioning, we don't want to see that bar out in front of the toes. So as she gets set up, what you'll notice is go ahead and come into full standing position. We'll leave the bar there. So what happens is we get anxious, we start chasing the bar, and then the bar starts rolling away from us, right? So we get our bar set where we want it, we go down for this position, right? But for some reason the bar is out in front of the toes, and so we grab it and then we pull from this position. The only problem with that is we're creating a lot of tension at that lower back. Notice that bar is far away from the center of gravity, so that's going to create a lot more tension back here. So what we want to do is pull that weight close. We want to adjust the spine, right? So we're going to drop the hip. We're going to pull the chest up nice and tall, which is going to flatten that spine out for us. And then we're going to drive through the heel and stand. Okay? So let's go ahead and come on up, Steph. Again, another good deadlift. And we're going to come down to the bottom position. Another common fault will be starting with a round back. So a lot of times when you reach into position, again, as we fatigue, we see this start to happen as the reps start becoming higher or the weight gets heavy. So she's gonna start in this super rounded position, and now as she comes up, can you do that safely without hurting yourself? So she's gonna pull up. Now what you'll find is, when she gets to the top here, look at this, leg extension, hip extension, what has to flex? That lower back. So the lower back is left to do all the rest of the work at the top of that movement, and we don't want that. We wanna send it to the hamstrings and the glutes to make sure they get work and that our lower back stays safe. Okay. Thank you very much, Stephanie. Those are our common faults. You guys stay safe on the deadlift. And that closes out the deadlift. Remember, when performing the deadlift, you should feel the muscles in your back of your legs, which would be your hamstrings. You're gonna feel your glutes, and you're gonna feel a little bit of that lower back, your retrospinae. It's an all-encompassing strength move. It should help build strength everywhere, all over the body, because it utilizes the core as well as that grip strength. So there's a lot of added benefits to performing the deadlift. And remember to perform it safely. Always wanna make sure we have that back, that spine is nice in extension. The hips are gonna remain back in the deadlift, and you're always maintaining that weight in the heels as you drive from the bottom. Perform it safely. Thank you, Stephanie, for helping us with the deadlift, and thank you for joining us here at My Leader Source.